Alright, I'm back with another tutorial. This one's going to be NPC related once again. Like I said in the last tutorial, this was not really on my schedule, but I need to get a companion to try to make my character a little bit more happy. His morale is bottoming out all the time. So on my, this was my second attempt to recruit Everett Steffen, and this time it worked. So I decided to record. And it says, I did the same persuade we did in the last episode, 60%. You can keep me safe. And this time he said, you got it. I'm with you. All right, awesome. Now he's calling me friend. So we can do so many things with these NPCs. We're entering into an area that is somewhat controversial in the world of Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, which is that some people absolutely hate NPCs, working with NPCs, talking to NPCs, questing for NPCs. Just hate them. One notable online personality who absolutely despises NPCs is the great granddaddy of all Cataclysm streamers and YouTubers, Vormithrax. And with all due respect to the Vorm, and I have watched everything the Vorm put out. I mean, everything. I love him. But I firmly disagree on the dislike of NPCs. Well, I mean, it's not a thing to disagree about. It's just it's a temperamental issue. You know what I mean? I love NPCs. I have had more fun playing with NPCs in Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. This is one of my favorite parts of this game because as an old NetHack player, I always wished I had, I could. I would use like scrolls of charm and or a spellcast a book of charm to recruit all these creatures to my side, and I just wished I could talk to them and trade with them and set rules for their behavior. I mean, this is what was missing from NetHack, right? But that's all aside. Let's get into Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. We can talk about how we'll work together. This menu works a little bit differently on latest experimental and on the 0.h stable candidate than it does on 0.g. 0.g is the current stable version, and it's really the official release that you're going to find on Steam. So I thought about doing this tutorial in 0.g, but the player base is mainly experimental, and the player base is probably going to wind up moving to 0.h, and I'm sure Steam will upgrade that version once that happens. So we may be wanting to work with some of these newer versions for tutorial purposes just to stay current. But anyway, let's talk about how we'll work together. The difference here in your more recent versions is that it uses this I am GUI pop-up, which I have found to be a little buggy, but now it may not be as buggy anymore. Let me see if I can hit spacebar here. Yeah, that doesn't work. You see, I'm already at C. Let's talk to him again and go back to the rules section. And how do we do this? I think it's the enter key. If I hit, yeah, this is what I have found. So if this is buggy for you, you can always go back to the 0.g version, and this will actually work perfectly. I'm sure they'll work this out. But right now, if I hit enter on this, it for some reason it double does. It goes to 2 paces and then 4 paces instantly. So it's toggling too quickly. I think if I hit the B key, it will remain toggled correctly. So there you go. It's kind of an inconvenience to me. I don't really like having to find the letter on the keyboard that I want to use. But this is a toggle that's represented by a check mark, and I also find that to be kind of confusing in recent versions. 0.g doesn't work like this. It has a sane and safe toggle method that's absolutely clear. So if well, whatever. I'm not going to complain. This is, we can set how far our NPC will follow. Now this not investigate noises, I think this is useful most of the time because the NPC will tend to wander off. If you're trying to keep your follower in one location, not allowing them to investigate noises is advisable, which is why it's the default. Unlocking doors is, he will not lock doors. I've never known a companion to do anything with locks, but I like that these companions will close doors after they've passed through them, because I'll open a door and walk through and they follow me through and close the door behind them. So I don't have to say, were you raised in a barn? Close the door behind you. This one here I toggle. The NPC will like to smash nearby zombie corpses by default. Personally, that annoys me a little bit, so I will toggle that off. Move freely to attack enemies is questionable. This is one way that companions get themselves killed. The reason it's off by default. Wait a minute. This is on by default. You see how confusing the toggle is? I'm going to toggle that one. He will hold the line by not moving into doorways or obstacles. Okay, I think that's what I want because I don't want him to just race out there and attack foes. I may not want my companion to open doors to reach a destination. I want to open that door, generally. So I'm going to toggle that. He will not go places that require opening a door. He will complain about wounds and needs. Right now it's set to stay awake as long as possible. I've never really found that necessary. I'm going to toggle that one. He will sleep when tired. I think that's fine. He will not bash down obstacles. That makes sense. He will not pick up items. I've played with that one. It's kind of fun to let them pick up items. You know, they make weird choices about what items they want to pick up. But, I mean, I think it's harmless. But we'll just leave that default. I like this one. He will avoid shooting if allies are in the line of fire. I find that reassuring. I'd rather not take a stray bullet. Follow you closely even when threatened is a good default to have. That's the default setting. And it's a good way to be able to lead your companion away from danger, hopefully. Now this one, he will only use silenced ranged weapons. I tend to give guns to my companions and let them shoot whatever they want. So I'm going to toggle that one. He will use any ranged weapon. By default, the companion will not use grenades. And I think that's it. Oh, I see. Now this menu goes on to the engagement rules below. So let's just have a look. The default setting here is that they will attack enemies that get close. I'm going to leave that there for now. Now we're going to lead this companion back to an area that has slimes. And I don't want to see them killed, you know, messing around with slimes. But we may have to change this once we get home. I don't know. We can forbid them to fight unless their life, depends on it. Aiming rules, I haven't messed around with a lot. Aim when it's convenient seems fine. I'm afraid to switch this to take time to aim carefully or take a long time to aim. So normally I give my companion something like a shotgun and say, hey, aim if you can. If you can't, just let it go. So anyway, there you go. We have looked at, and this menu seems to go further down, and I don't seem to be seeing what's down there too, by the way. I'm a little worried about that. But anyway, I think I can now hit the escape key, and we've got him configured. Now by recruiting them, our social skill has increased to 1. So once again, some players will tell you that social skill is impractical and has no use, and they might be right. I don't know. But anyway, now that we have recruited Mr. Everett Stephan, we can do the various things we looked at last episode that they would not allow us to do. If we can examine their wounds and we see that all their health bars are full, so that's good. All right, we can also examine their status and see what is that they're wearing on each body part, how much coverage it offers, and what the protection values are. Okay, then we can also sort their armor out. Now, this is a good thing to do because sometimes these companions suffer from the same thing that we ourselves suffer from, and they will put their underwear on the outside of their pants or something like that. Now, we haven't looked at this menu much or at all on our own character, so I don't think we'll look at it too much now, but we'll do a armor sorting and clothing warmth and protection tutorial at some point. But for now, just know that you can check that information out. We can also enter trade. Now, we were able to trade before. Before we recruited this companion, we were able to trade, but there were certain things they would not trade. Now they're willing to trade just about anything. Now, this is within reason. I haven't tried this yet on the most recent experimental. I actually updated right before I started this video. And so I wouldn't be entirely sure. You see they're holding this concealed carry 6-shooter. Now, if I ask them to use something as a weapon which is vastly inferior to that, or maybe inferior by even 1 micron, they may refuse to carry an inferior weapon. So this is one reason that people become annoyed with NPCs. There's a lot of different reasons. This is one of them. Sometimes the companion makes unreasonable claims about um, the excellence of the weapon that they have when you clearly know, that all in all, what you're offering them is better. But I console myself with this. This is an independent human being, or mutated human being, but still independent. And I can see from, a storytelling perspective, if I have a companion who's, you know, been wielding this same damaged baseball bat for the entire Cataclysm, and I say, here, I want you to carry this golf club now, I can see a free and independent, free-thinking human being saying, you know what, I really prefer what I have, but thanks. We're talking about my safety in combat, and what you're offering me doesn't look better to me. And so you wield it if you love it so much. I can see that. But, sometimes a lot of people, say, well, I want total control over my companion. I don't mind that I don't have total control over the companion. I want them to think, but anyway, I don't want to enter into any controversy. I'm just giving my opinion. So anyway, what we can do is we can trade any of these items now. Generally, we ought to be able to swap out any of their backpack, their clothing and armor items, no problem. We can normally tell them what weapon to wield as long as it's, relatively reasonable. We can take away the drugs that they have. I'll tell you one reason to allow them to keep their drugs. If I give this companion antiseptic and bandages, they will quite often try to use them on me when I'm injured, which might be they may have a higher medical skill than I do, and therefore their bandaging will work better. We may want to know that, so let's talk to Everett. And if I ask them more about their abilities, this is going to be the equivalent of hitting Shift 2 to look at our own character sheet. Now that they're a companion, we can look at their entire character sheet, find out what their stats are exactly, and we can also find out what their skills are. This is going to come into play later because our companions, we can teach them things. We can read skill books with them. We can practice crafting with them. We can have seminars where we teach them skills. We can also have seminars where they teach us skills. So here we have a companion who is very skilled with piercing weapons, but lacks melee. So this is a case where training together on melee would be very beneficial for this companion. And as a reverse of that scenario, we could ask this companion to train us in piercing weapons. The dodge modifier. Wow, six, pretty good, I think. All right, marksmanship and throwing. Looks like they've got good handgun skill also. And also good shotgun skill. So if we want to learn handguns and shotguns from this companion, they can train us, which is so cool. All right, so they also have basic food handling skill. This is where how much can they help us craft, right? Or if we order them to craft something for us, they've got a fabrication 4. Now, fabrication is one skill in which our character is sucking some wind. All right, we barely made it up from Fabrication 1 to Fabrication 2 by doing the little building crafts and stuff that we were doing back at the base. This companion can help us to increase our fabrication skill, electronic skill, and the coveted applied science skill. Now this one right here, you need some rare books to learn this skill. So having a companion with applied science, this is the shortcut to applied science for us. I do believe we'll examine it in another episode. And here's what I'm talking about. Look at this insanely high healthcare skill. For my character or your character to reach healthcare 9 is almost unthinkable. And it would take many months of in-game play. We're looking at a healthcare skill of 9 here. This means I want that companion to be bandaging me. Yes, thank you very much. And to train me up in healthcare also. So this high healthcare, high applied science, these are late game skills. And we've got them at our disposal now as a result of recruiting this companion. So there you go. Tell me again that you hate NPC companions. Looks like they suffer from mood swings and seasonal allergies. Good to know. And their proficiencies are... They've got a proficiency in human autopsies. Principles of biology and chemistry. They're a wound care expert. Very interesting. All right, well, that concludes our examination of the NPC Companion Recruit. And I'm going to wrap the episode up right here. I'll see you in later episodes for more information.